Tony is an artist. He's a creator. He's in the adult industry. This man does it all. So he had a few questions regarding the photo booth industry. And I said, you know what? The questions that you might have, other people might also have. So why not just jump on an interview with you, kind of like a two-way conversation presentation, and see where it goes. How you doing today, Tony?
I'm doing very well. How you doing tonight?
Very good, Tony. Hey, Tony, do you always sound this proper over the phone, man?
Always, always. Got to take it as a business.
Cool, man. Speaking of business, man, why? So you have questions regarding the photo booth industry, and I want to address those questions, bro. So fire away, man.
One of my questions is nowadays with the world of the internet and competition, how easy is it for you to come on top? Because I see you taking over it.
Yeah. Actually, social media, technology, if you use that as leverage and use them as tools, you could definitely help yourself rank and get your business name out there. So that's one thing I talk about a lot is how are you utilizing, for example, AI? How are you using SEO and keywords to get your business online? So give your business maximum exposure. So a lot of the things I tell people to do, Tony, is make sure they first start off with a Google profile because we all know that when we're looking for a restaurant, we usually Google it, whether it's Google Maps or Google search engine, and it acts the same way as for businesses as a service provider. So also make sure that your social media handles are are reflecting. For example, what city do you reside in, Tony?
I'm in the South Bay area.
In the South Bay area. Okay. So, for example, I stay out in San Bernardino. So for me, it's photo booth rental San Bernardino. That long tail keyword is gonna help me rank. So that's the way I would approach it, man. And it takes some time though. You gotta post often too to stay relevant. But yeah, man.
Oh, that's beautiful. With that being said, what makes you better than anyone else?
What makes me better than anyone else? I don't know if I'm better than anyone else, but I could tell you that I do work my ass off and I go into creator mode every single event. I never show up to an event feeling like I'm just gonna do the same thing and be complacent. I try to really create that spark at every event, whether I have the wedding coat sparks or not. And just being out there with enthusiasm, people can read energy, and so can I. In fact, I always have to recover from events just because I'm around so many people and everyone projects that energy. But for you, as an operator, I call him like the hype man because we're a hype man at the end of the day, is just
Yes,
really
yes.
pumping people up on that booth so they can rock it out and then have a video to share on social media and then cherish for the rest of their lives, man.
I do see that. I do see that when I see your profile compared to someone else's profile. You're everywhere. You're hyping them up. You're in the
Yo,
mix.
Tony, you sound like a
So
hype man right now, bro. You sound like a straight up hype man
because
right
that's
now,
that's
man.
how it is. Yeah, because that's what it is. And we both tag team. It gets better. But yeah,
Oh,
I've been seeing fools like, okay, just jump in the booth, smile, snap, next. No, you gotta be all up in that.
yeah, man. Tony, you had the right attitude for this, man. But then again, you're a professional, so I know you switch it up, right?
Oh, I always switch it up.
Cool, cool.
Yeah, I see someone with a little negative activities right there, negative face. I'm like, nah, we gotta change that if we come into this booth right now.
Tony.
We gotta switch that up.
Yeah, that's cool, man.
How,
I like that,
how
dude.
that saying go? You gotta switch that frown upside down.
Yeah. What the Ladies and gentlemen, that is Tony on the other line. I'm going to share his credentials if you guys want to reach out to him, collaborate with him. I'll go ahead and share your social media handles, contact information. Cool, Tony?
That's wonderful. You go ahead.
All right, man. Fire away. What you got for me, man? What else you got for me?
My name is Mo Mello, Tony Sirvian, aka El Más Chingón de Toda la Vida.
Órale.
And I'm right here just having a nice conversation with David Rodriguez about this 360 industry. How what made you start this 360s thing?
What made me start, brother? So I think a lot of people by now probably know that I have ADHD or ADD, and I constantly want to stimulate myself mentally and emotionally, and that consists of me jumping into new projects and trying out the entire world. And I constantly have to be on ventures and projects, if not traveling. So after many businesses, I felt like why not start another business? So there I go, right in 2000 and I think this was 2022. I think it was when I started.
Oh, it's
I
fairly
just
new.
took, yeah, man, I took about a little under $5,000, and I took all the lessons that I learned from my previous businesses. And I told myself, if I can take all those lessons I learned from SEO, website building, customer care, customer metrics, and just understanding the industry, and also going into like the editing production process, I thought, why not just combine all this experience that I've acquired and start a photo booth rental business? But ideally, it was the 360 because that's what was super hot, and that's what got me into the business, man. My ADD, bro. I just wanted to try something new, and I didn't. I've been sticking with it because I'm learning that even though I want to go do other things, I should first master this industry first before I jump onto something else and try to control my ADHD a little bit better, man.
I understand. I see that. So this ain't even a question no more, but it's curiosity. If you were to move into the next project, what would that project be?
Wow, that's a freaking amazing question. Listen, I've been really trying to balance myself spiritually, and then also with my, it's from a spiritual point of view. Once I acquire a fine balance, then it's gonna reflect in my business, and it's gonna reflect, throughout my whole point. So here's my point of view: if I can calibrate myself much better and learn how to control my emotions and thoughts, then I feel like whatever goal I have right now, it might shift a little bit because I'm gonna go through a process of maturity, and I'm still going through that process. It's a never-ending process. So one industry that really captivates me is how do I bring information to the people regarding the spiritual realm of things. And
Hmm.
so I would like to continue being somewhat of a educator or a person who just shares the knowledge of numerology, astrology, spirituality, and all that stuff, because I really feel like at the end of the day, man, you can start whatever business you want, you can pursue different ventures, and if they're successful, that's great. And if they're not, well, you learn a lot. But whether it's one or the other, you're still going to feel incomplete if you're not spiritually balanced, and you're always going to have that void in your heart. And so I want to start really focusing on what truly matters, and that's the spiritual side of one being. And yeah, man, it'd be really cool if I could start tapping into that.
That's a very interesting future point of view of everything. As long as you don't open no portals like Doctor Strange, everything should be all right.
Man, we have the potential as beings to definitely open up portals. And one time, let me tell you a very, very short story. That way it kind of matches my height. So this quick story, bro. I was at a park once, and I was meditating while I was walking. It's a really cool exercise that I learned from a book called I have it right here somewhere. It's called Becoming Supernatural by Dr. Joe Dispenza. And in one of the chapters, it covers how you can meditate as you're walking. And as you're walking, you can start programming your mind and your frequencies. And you start tuning into certain things, and you start fleshing out certain dense energies. And it also talks about, as you're walking, how you can imagine going into a portal. And I remember vividly, this was a few years ago, I was out in a park by Walnut, city of Walnut. And as I was walking, I told myself, I am ready to go into a new portal and have a paradigm shift. So when I committed to that and I visualized it and I felt it in my heart and I got really emotional about it and I stepped into a new portal, somehow, some way, my life accelerated, and then I became a content creator. And here I am now today after I stepped into that portal, which was pretty interesting that you bring up that question and you bring up the word portal, because it just reminded me of something that I experienced that I hope maybe other people could tap into.
That sounds like something I'm very interested in, especially with all my walks, my daily walks.
Yeah, it's cool, man.
Hmm.
Yeah, definitely, brother. I'd like to talk about it more with you off the line if possible.
Oh yes, definitely we will. I want to open up my third eye again and get in tune with my chakras.
There you go, man. Good. That's good. That's good stuff.
It's been a while.
Hey, man, let
I'm
me
tired of
let.
scratching lottery tickets.
Whoa, shit! Oh, man, I'm all right, bro. Yo, I just, I
Sounds
just,
like you eat shit. What
no,
happened?
yeah, I just ate a little bit of shit. I was leaning back in my chair, and I and I flew back, and it's on camera, so this part is definitely gonna get a thumbs up, man. It's funny because it got my heart pumping.
Oh
It's like one of
shit!
those
I
moments
get you
when you're
that
watching.
excited, huh?
Yeah. Uh, it's like that moment when you're like half asleep in your bed and then you turn, but there's no more bed left, and you're about to like fall off your bed, and you wake up so fast and you're able not to like fall to the ground because you just. It's like that type of scary.
Yeah, like that dream where you're falling, but you never fall.
Hey man, I wanted to ask you before I fell back there, when when you as a male, right? You experience
Yes.
hardships. Like, what's one of the things that you find most challenging about your journey right now?
The fact that I'm doing it alone, it is very challenging. It's very rewarding,
Hmm.
but it's a struggle doing it on your own,
Hmm.
especially living in California,
Hmm.
especially with this new inflation that they call it, which I think is way more than that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So off topic, what's the three things you dislike
About what specifically?
about your business? About
Okay, yeah, dude. Let's get muddy and grimy. So, one of the things that I don't like about my business, or yeah, okay, cool. Let's be transparent. So, one thing I don't like is showing up to an event and everything seems swell until that little kid in Pampers with snot coming down his nose just comes out of nowhere. It's like, who does
it's always
this
a
child
nice
belong
party.
to? Like there's this little kid just walking around in a pamper that's sagging like crazy, and it's like my arm is spinning. My stanchions are not his kryptonite, so he just goes over or under the stanchions, and I'm like, whose kid is this? Like, where are his bro? Where are your parents? And it's like, I ask everyone around me, and everyone's like, I don't know. And so that's one thing that really bothers me is when I go to events and the kids are out of control, and they take off with my props, and I'm thinking like, you know what? Soak it up and realize that this is part of the game, and just it is what it is, bro. But that's one of the parts that's most challenging for me and draining, man, to see kids unattended and their parents are at the party. And of course, I understand the parents deal with these kids day-to-day basis, but when they're at a party, they're thinking like, it's time for my grown ass to grab a drink and have fun and not worry about my kids. I'm just gonna let them run free. We're at a party. So for
That
us,
situation
what's that?
that situation happens to me at the park when I'm working out. I see a little snotty kid just wondering, and it looks weird. He's just staring at me, but 9 times out of 10, it's just a single mom trying to get my attention using their kid as bait. It doesn't work when it's an ugly kid, lady. I'm gonna just say that.
Oh, dude, Tony, you know what? The way you look at life and perceive things, bro, you're a positive dude, man. Keep playing lotto, bro, because if you're that positive, man, you're gonna attract abundance, bro, in every way, dude. That's dope, man. So you're basically saying that moms use kids as bait. All right. To
Yeah,
attract. Okay. Well, you know what? I wish I could see things that way, man, but I just it's hard to, bro. But that's dope, man. I like your way of thinking. Um, and then there's another thing that it doesn't bother me too much, but it gets to a point where it gets a little old, and that's like almost every single event that I go to, there's always that one person who wants to run the numbers with you. So how many events you do a month? Yeah, and how much do you charge? And how much did all this setup cost? And it's like those people and in my mind I'm thinking like, bro, subscribe. Just join the channel, subscribe. I cover all this information on my YouTube channel. And that's exactly what I tell them. I'll be like, hey, if you're interested in starting your photo booth business, I highly recommend it because it's a very low investment you make up front, and you can really benefit from this industry. So
hmm
that's another thing that gets a little old is people asking me about the numbers as far as the business goes. So you said what are my three things, and I so far I mentioned two, right?
you only mentioned two. There's one missing.
Damn, man. I
That's if
really,
there's a third one. That's if there's a third one.
yeah, I was gonna tell you I enjoy this industry so much, and I enjoy the events so much that I really can't think of another thing oh, you know what? I guess I so here's one thing, and this was a remedy that I found after. So one thing that I didn't like is going to events and then the DJ is so far from the actual 360 booth that there was no bass, there was no beat, there was no music. So it was hard to get the people hype with no music in the background, right? And that is like, how do you get hype without music? So what I ended up doing is I started taking my Bluetooth speaker to events so that when people are on the actual booth, music makes a crazy difference when people are vibing out to music on the booth. So but other than that, man, everything else is just really enjoyable and sometimes challenging, but at the same time that's where growth resides, is in difficulties.
It's a growing business, and you're growing with it.
Yeah, man.
Not literally, but you're growing with it.
Yeah, absolutely, man. So yeah, to answer your question, there you have it, Tony.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah, bro. So like I said,
Future.
man, it's a cool industry to be in, and like I said, I'm gonna shout you out. But we're coming across that way. We passed those 10 minutes we had planned for. We're about 16 minutes in, but
Yes.
it was a pleasure catching up with you, Tony, and I appreciate your time,
Always,
brother.
always, and you stay up and make that ferionte. That means money for anyone that don't understand what that means. Get that skrilla, get the dollar, get
Yeah,
that
next
bread.
time I see a little kid with his Pampers with boogers coming down to his nose, I'm gonna look around and see if I make eye contact with a mom.
Look for the mom.
All
Just
right, man.
remember, if the kid's a little ugly, it might not be worth it. But if the kid's all right looking with a big ass booger, it's still not worth it because she's careless. But it's all on you.
All right, Tony, man, take care, bro. All
You take it easy. Have a good night.
right, peace.
Peace.